Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning, still morning. I went to a meeting, but it was a 10 o'clock meeting, but my brain thinks it was a noon meeting, but it wasn't a noon meeting. It was a 10 o'clock meeting. Oh, yeah. Amber, fucking vacuums, huh? I actually have a lot of experience with vacuums, believe it or not. Not only have I sold vacuums before, but be organized Western. Yeah, I'll accept that. I'll accept that. That's a friend, and I'll try and support. I'll try and support, you know. I probably will be going live again at about, I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 2. I'm going to talk about the real reason why. The real reason why Colorado is dead last in recovery services. I might, and I might not. I may not. I don't know. It just seems like it keeps getting. It's like God doesn't want me to stop doing it, but I don't know. Anyway, that was a conundrum from last week. I don't know that I'm gonna. I'll go to that meeting. Okay, so we're doing a random reading from the big book. But yeah, as far as vacuum goes, you see it a lot now. I used to help run a company called Planet Urine, Planet URN. And what we did is we removed dog and cat odors from carpets and upholsteries. And it worked really well. But I had to use a badass vacuum. It was like $2,000, you know. So, the vacuums, they're a part of our lives. So yeah, it has to do with alcoholism. Anyway, let's go to Google. Oh, Google. Random number. All I have to do is put in RAN because I've done this before. 41. We are going to be on page 41 in the big book. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. What's going on? I forget it's opposite. You want to smell my hair? He doesn't usually sit back there, so that's kind of weird. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching live or the rewatch. That would be dandy. Handy dandy. So we're going to go to page 41 here. Said more about alcoholism. It is right in the middle of a story. Right in the middle of a story. Let's do it. I went to my hotel room and leisurely dressed for dinner. I'm going to go back to page 40 of the top so that we at least get a part of the story so we understand it. What's going on back there? Okay. We heard no more of Fred for a while. One day we were told that he was back in the hospital. This time he was quite shaky. He soon indicated that he was anxious to see us. The story he told us is most instructive, for here was a chap absolutely convinced he had to stop drinking, who had no excuse for drinking, who exhibited splendid judgment and determination in all his other concerns. Yet he was flat on his back nevertheless. Let him tell you about it. I was much impressed. Oh, before I move on, for some reason, people that peddle mushrooms continue to show up. Now, thankfully, it didn't show up in the chat here. Okay. But yeah, there was another one. Just that gives you an idea how this shit works, man. Okay. If we're trying to peddle this stuff, then you're a peddler. You got, if you're intruding on other people's stuff, yeah, it's quite rude. Okay. And if that's the kind of salesperson you're going to be, you're going to fail badly. Anyway, right? Now, what is that an indication to? Well, recovery is big business and it needs to end. It needs to end. So, anyway, maybe we'll talk about that later. Let me tell you about it. I was much impressed with what you fellows said about alcoholism, and I frankly did not believe it would be possible for me to drink again. I rather appreciated your ideas about the subtle insanity which precedes the first drink, but I was confident it would not happen to me after what I had learned. I reasoned I was not so far advanced as most you fellows, but I've been usually successful in licking my other personal problems, and that I would therefore be successful where you men had failed. I felt every right to be self-confident that it would be only a matter of exercising my willpower and keeping on guard. You know, I'm hearing a lot of newcomers talking in meetings, and this is what I hear them saying. You know, they're starting to make decisions all by themselves, right? And these won't work. I understand that you're trying, you're doing the best that you can, but these measures will not work. And it's been proved over and over again, right? Now the plain English big book is out, and I've heard people talk about it a few times, and I'm not interested in it. I'm not even going to bother reading it. I have what I need. You know, that's a preference. If it's going to help some people out, I guess. But there's a laziness in it that I just don't go for. And anything that is used, I voted against it. So, but we have to be careful in the beginning that you know, because all my best thoughts got me to AA. Okay, and I still have those same thoughts, but now I have a different direction. I have other things. I have tools. You know, I have 30 days. I got this. Yeah, I got. You never say I got this in a meeting. Oh man, you're gonna get it. You say I got this. You're gonna get it. Yeah, you know, there's some people I hear. You know, it's just so. You know, and I kind of have to say, you know, because it's kind of a contention thing, but I don't really think that newcomers should be speaking in meetings. I don't. Yeah. Because all I hear is a lot of dumping, whining, and crying. And what they're not doing is listening. How many times do you hear in the meetings, look for a sponsor, do 90 and 90? Okay? But they don't say sponsor. They don't say God. Now, because I was listening to somebody and I got a little bit of hope at the end when they said, I prayed this morning. I'm like, there we go. There we go. That we can go for, right? But when we come into the program and we don't have somebody to give us direction, we're going to go after shit. We will do certain things. Okay? Yeah. And it can't be helped. We're human. We're human. And I have not met anybody that is more special than anybody else that is going to work a different way. All right. In this frame of mind, I went about my business, and for a time, all was well. Yeah. Feel better. Ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing, Ma? Ain't it grand? You just hear Charlie Brown's teachers. People are like, it's Charlie Brown's parents. Charlie Brown's parents never said a thing. Okay. It was his teacher. There's a song called Charlie Brown's Parents. Oh man, I haven't listened to that for a while. I just want to get it set up over here because I will forget. There we go. It's a song by Dishwalla. And yeah, I love Dishwalla. I'm a very big Dishwalla fan. It's J.R. Richards. He's the lead singer. And I very much love that man, right? But yeah, you know, and I'm not trying to be rude. I am not. But the only thing a newcomer really has to offer is either treatment speak or the fact that it doesn't work out there anymore. Okay, well, you're sitting there shaking. I don't need any more to know. I don't need to hear your whiny story as to why you came in. I don't need to hear your day count. Okay. See, first, second, or third meeting. First, second, or third meeting. We should not be doing the 29 days. That is torture. And it drives some people out of the program. Anyway, those are opinions. But in my experience, it works very, very well. AA is to be structured. And it's got to have direction. Well, newcomers can't give direction. They don't have any yet. Okay. So what we give is honest as we can be. Now, I understand that some people need to get things off their chest. Well, gee, that's what a sponsor is for. That's what a sponsor is for. That's what a closed mouth friend is for. Sometimes I come on here, but an AA meeting is not a place for me to dump my problems so that I can get a little rest, a little satisfaction of who I am. Feel sorry for me. Ain't gonna happen. Empathy, not sympathy. All right. For a time went well. I had no trouble refusing drinks. Why are you hanging around places that are offering it to you? And began to wonder if I had not been making too hard work of a simple matter. There we go. Oh, it's done. He's done. He's done. I got this. That's what he's saying. Well, maybe I'm just making too big a deal out of this. Okay. One day I went to Washington to present some accounting evidence on a government bureau. I'd been out of town before during this particular dry spell, so there was nothing new about that. Physically, I felt fine. Neither did I have any pressing problems or worries. My business came off well. I was pleased and knew my partners would be too. It was the end of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon. Woohoo! Excitement. Woo! Yeah. Here's a couple of the other things. He had no problems or worries. This is what we call indifference. This is what we call indifference. Did he forget that just 2-3 weeks ago he was lying in a hospital bed dying? Yes, he forgot. He forgot. Oh, maybe I'm just I've only been in the hospital a couple times. But I've only had one blackout. My wife is a normal drinker. That's what I'm going to call them now. Normal drinkers. Okay. And you want to know how many blackouts she's had? 0. I'm okay with that first whiny few shares of this is why I'm here. But then it should be, I'm looking for a sponsor next share. I'm reading the big book. Next thing I'm working on step. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that you're okay with that. I'm losing my tolerance for it. And it's to each their own, because Amber and I don't really argue. We don't even bicker. We give each other shit every now and again, but yeah, and there's the progress. See, we're supposed to disclose what it was like, what happened, what it's like now, and they have no what it is like now. There is no hope. Right? So are we going to spend that 5 minutes listening to you whine, or can we take another 5 minutes with somebody who's a little bit more experienced in the program to give them solutions to that? Because all the problems are pretty much the same when you get here. Yeah. So, problem here is it was a perfect day. I'll tell you what happened. He got a good night's sleep. The world opened up. I'm not being intolerant. There's a difference between I don't have as much tolerance for it and being intolerant. Intolerant means I wouldn't do it at all. I get it. I understand it. Let's remember I was a counselor. Okay? I know the clinical side. I do. But I also know arenas, and I know the purpose of those arenas. And the AA arena is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. That's the way I see it. So I may also just be complaining. I'm trying not to, it's still kind of the same stuff from earlier. But you are not incorrect on that, Amber. You are not incorrect. And I am defending myself a little bit, saying I'm not saying I'm intolerant. I'm extremely open-minded. So now if a newcomer says, I have a topic, I'm going through this and need some help, we're into something different, I think. We're into something different there. But this whole, or whatever you would like to talk about portion of it being a topic is a waste of time. If you want that, go to Celebrate Recovery. It's structured and disciplined for very good reasons. All right. I went to my hotel room and leisurely dressed for dinner. As I crossed the threshold of the dining room, the thought came to me that it would be nice to have a couple of cocktails with dinner. And he's done, isn't he? He's done. He's going to end up in another state. I know this story a little well. That was all. So, nothing more. Now, number one, normal drinkers don't think a couple will be fine. They never, ever think that. Hold on a second. Cats are arguing. All right. Had to yell again, so I had to mute. After dinner, I decided to take a walk. When I returned to the hotel, it struck me a highball would be fine before going to bed, so I stepped in the bar and had one. I remember having several more that night and plenty the next morning. I have a shadowy recollection of being in an airplane bound for New York and finding a friendly taxicab driver at the landing field instead of my wife. The driver escorted me about for several days. I know little of where I went or what I said and did. Then came the hospital with the unbearable mental and physical suffering. The suffering. As soon as I regained my ability to think, I went carefully over that evening in Washington. Not only had I been off guard, I had made no fight whatever against the first drink. This time I had not thought of the consequences at all. I had commenced to drink as carelessly as though the cocktails were ginger ale. I now remembered what my alcoholic friends had told me, how they had prophesied that if I had an alcoholic mind, the time and place would come, I would drink again. They said that though I did raise a defense, it would one day give away before some trivial reason for having a drink. Well, just that did happen and more. For what I had learned of alcoholism did not occur to me at all. I knew from that moment on I had an alcoholic mind. I saw that willpower and self-knowledge would not help me in those strange mental blank spots. I had never been able to understand people who said the problem had them hopelessly defeated. I knew then it was a crushing blow. Two members of Alcoholics Anonymous came to see me. They grinned, which I did not like so much, and then asked me if I thought myself an alcoholic if I were really licked this time. I conceded to both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence to the effect that an alcoholic mentality, such as I had exhibited in Washington, was a hopeless condition. They cited cases out of their own experiences by the dozen. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job myself. Yeah, somebody brought a little bit of depth and weight to them, huh? A little bit of depth and weight. They outlined the spiritual answer and program of action, which 100 of them had followed successfully. Though I'd been only a nominal churchman, their proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow. But the program of action, though entirely sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions out the window. That was not easy, but the moment I made up my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact as it proved to be. Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I have been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would not exchange its best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back to it even if I could. And I get that. I understand that. You know, I don't know that I would trade my worst moments I have now for the best then. I don't know because it just isn't going to happen. I get what he's saying and why he would make that comparison though. You know, that I get. It's the no matter what club, right? Yeah. Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home to thousands like him. He had only felt the first nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Now that's what's great about AA. See, we can meet you where you're at. We can meet you where you're at. But I want you to see how the process, because earlier I was talking about newcomers dumping. Now, if we provide something, because see, you cannot bring up a problem without a solution, right? So the solution is 12-step calls. And since we're not set up for them correctly, the process is disrupted. And it's part of the problem. All your 12-stepping has been taken away. It was taken away. All right. Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with our conclusions. One of these men, staff member at a well-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to us. What you say about the general hopelessness of the average alcoholic's flight is, in my opinion, correct. As to the two of you men whose stories I have heard, there is no doubt in my mind that you were 100% hopeless apart from divine help. Had you offered yourself as patients in this hospital, I would not have taken you if I had been able to avoid it. People like you are too heartbreaking. Though not a religious person, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there is virtually no other solution. Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink, except in a few rare cases. Neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power. All right, that's going to be it on this one. Because I have a feeling that my opinions are just kind of pissing people off today. So I'm going to end it there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. Peace out.